Everyone, the committee will come to order. We're here this morning for a couple reasons. If, and hopefully it will be shortly, a quorum is present, we'll proceed with a business meeting to report 4 of our nominees for the Department of Energy. But recognizing that we don't have yet 12 members present, I'll go ahead with agenda item 2, which is a hearing to examine the factors affecting global oil prices. This year has been marked by greater volatility, which has shown up in the prices being paid at the pump by nearly every American family and business. Prices are notably higher than a year ago, so the question we're here to ask include, why is that? Will it remain this way, and what, if anything, can we do about that? Of course, that's what everybody really wants to know. Where are we going with this? When I look at the global markets, I see a number of factors that are pushing oil prices up, but also a few significant factors that are also restraining them. On the one hand, global oil prices are the direct result of strong economic growth. In some ways, this is almost a trade-off. Prices were a lot lower when our economy was a lot weaker, but I don't think that any of us would want to trade our remarkable pace of job creation and low unemployment to go back to those days. Another factor leading to the higher prices is that global oil demand is rising, not falling. This is kind of economics 101. And the driver on this front is not the U.S., but much of the rest of the world, led by emerging economies such as China and India. At the same time, we're dealing with the fallout from OPEC's strategy of artificially restricting supply from its members. There is no question that that has reduced inventories and pushed prices higher. We're also seeing the effects of supply disruptions across the globe, from Libya to Venezuela to Canada. On the other side of the ledger, there's somewhat of a silver lining. We're seeing that while prices are higher, it's not as bad as it could have been, and that's largely because of significant increases in U.S. production. America's shale revolution has brought tremendous benefits to our country and the global economy, and as we produce more, we're creating jobs, we're generating revenues, we're bringing a degree of stability and confidence to global markets. We've also made smart policy decisions, like lifting the ban on U.S. crude oil exports, that are allowing us to become a major power on the global stage. I think it's complicated enough to understand where we are today, but again, I think most folks are interested in figuring out what really lies ahead. Where are we headed? Will markets loosen up as production in the U.S. and countries like Saudi Arabia continues to rise? Are we accounting for strong growth in global demand? Where are the geopolitical hotspots where substantial supply could disappear from the market at a moment's notice? And then we've got the wild cards that are out there. What will happen if we fail to build needed infrastructure in the U.S. to ensure that energy can be transported from where it's produced to where it's consumed? What will happen if the U.S. releases oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, not in response to an emergency, but to manage tight market conditions? What will tariffs mean for the viability of domestic energy projects and our ability to access markets in countries like China? And what will happen as global spare capacity shrinks and we no longer have a cushion of production that can be brought online quickly? And also, what are the looming impacts of regulations like the International Maritime Organization low sulfur standards? And then, of course, front and center, front page in all the news right now is what will happen with Iran. I believe our best course is to continue with our efforts to produce more oil here at home, particularly in places like Alaska, where we have the will and capacity to do so, and that's why I believe it was the right move to begin to open the coastal plain of ANWR to responsible development, why I support the new 5-year program for offshore development. I think there's no substitute for U.S. production for as long as we need it, even as we seek to diversify away from oil. So here to help us understand all of this is a truly distinguished panel of witnesses from as far away as the International Energy Agency in Paris. We have one witness, Mr. McNally, who literally wrote the book on crude volatility. We have another, Mr. Bordoff, who has come full circle since he testified here in 2016 about the impacts of low oil prices. We also welcome Mr. Hours and Mr. Braziel, who will share their perspectives on the North American market. So counting, we're not quite to 12 yet. So Senator Cantwell, why don't we turn to you for opening, and maybe we can get to the business meeting right after that.
Thank you.